roll, Shin-Soo, episode number 31. Glad you're here. My name is Gabe Estel, and I'm here with my co-host, Dennis Levi Leach and Jonathan Getz. How's it going, guys?
Going great.
Good, good. Glad it. Well, we are right in the heart of the latter part of the baseball season. It's a little past mid-August, so things are certainly heating up. We have two of our three teams, playing very well right now. Mine, same old song and dance, but we all know how that goes. But anyway, so tonight we've got a special guest coming in a little bit later that I think everybody's really going to enjoy and have a lot of fun with. And then we're also going to talk a lot tonight about kind of rivalries and sort of picking sides within rivalries and how they can be fun, but how they can be kind of annoying too. We're going to talk about a lot of those things. So it should be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we get into that, though, I want to go ahead and start off with our leadoff portion of the night. Fortunately, and Jonathan shared this link. I think you shared it on the Facebook page, or was it?
Oh, actually, no. I just shared it with you guys. I'll post it on the I'll post it on the webpage.
We'll certainly post it, and it looked like it was like a Vine video or an Instagram video, something like that. It was a short video. First Avenue, which is a pretty famous club in Minneapolis. It's got a history. Prince played there quite a bit. One of Minneapolis' more famous. I don't know if it's in St. Paul or Minneapolis. One of the Twin Cities' more famous venues. They had the ceiling collapse, and the footage is pretty.
It's dramatic.
Yeah, dramatic, eye-popping. Because it's really, it's not just like, a little
like a ceiling tile or something.
Yeah, not like a ceiling tile or, a little bit of plaster came down. I mean, it's like,
they said
chunks of the ceiling.
They said ultimately it's 30 feet by 30 feet what came down. Ultimately, it looked like it was coming down in pieces.
Right, and it looked like a pretty crowded show as well. I don't know who was playing.
Theory of a Dead Man.
Wow.
Okay, kind of a metal band, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I've seen
they're a metal band.
Yeah. So it looked like it was, a fairly well-attended show as well, and just fortunately no one was severely injured.
Yeah, they said a few people went to the hospital, but they were released satisfactorily.
Right. So I'm glad to hear that, but Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, man, that would...
Yeah. I assume they're going to be lawsuits, I would guess.
You gotta figure.
Yeah, Levi, you said that you thought that... just the constant acoustics and the low frequencies could cause problems in a venue over the years?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And especially if they used any amount of plaster in the wall, like in the ceilings, because over time, just the constant decibels, and knowing metal bands, they like to push their decibels.
Sure.
Like an average sound guy will want to keep it between 100 and 110. And 110 is pretty much, that's really loud. And so if they were over that, over the years of having all those concerts there, that plaster can weaken from the vibrations. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I think that's kind of, Levi, a catch-all venue too. I mean, I think they host, every type of music there. It's a national touring spot, so you could get Prince one night and then you could get, Theory of a Dead Man the next night.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it's a lot of metal bands, they like to have it just absolutely cranked where you can't hardly tell what the guy's saying. Everything sounds all... It would be great to go to a metal band one night and have it like the Steely Dan sound guy do it. It's like, wow, I can actually hear like everything in the metal band.
Coming soon on VH1 as a matchmaker between band and unusual sound guy.
Right. Oh, well, so I'm glad everyone's okay. And Jonathan had posed the question when we were kind of brainstorming for the episode about if anything dangerous has ever happened to us at a show we've attended. Now, Jonathan, if I'm not mistaken, didn't your brother attend the Guns N' Roses show at Riverport where there was a riot?
Yeah.
He did, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of when you brought that up because, it's a pretty famous show. Riverport wasn't very old then either. Like it had only been around maybe a year or so.
I think it may have been its opening year or at the oldest its second year.
Yeah, really young. It was like 91 or 92, something like that.
Mine is actually at Riverport.
Okay.
I was
Mine
there
too. But go
for
ahead.
one of the first Ozfests, and Pantera is playing, and Phil Anselmo, we're in the lawn because we bought the cheap lawn tickets, and Phil Anselmo says, "All you people in the lawn," he's like, "You're my bitches." He's like, "I want to see everybody on the right side of the lawn run as fast as you can to the left side."
Oh no.
Oh, dude,
No,
it was
don't
like
do
this
that, Phil.
wall of crazy like mosh. It was insane. There were like little metal families trying to like sit on blankets and stuff, and like they had to like get their crap and like run up to the top of the hill. To, like,
Oh no.
yeah, it was
Just
insane.
can't do shit like that. I mean, like I'm not one to impose limits on a lot of bands, but like you
have to be responsible.
You can't provoke
Yeah.
a
Just
crowd
with that
like
many
that,
drunk
you know.
too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're playing with fire, and you literally, I shouldn't say you literally, but you figuratively have that crowd in the palm of your hand, and they will do whatever you want them to do.
That's what happened at that travesty that was Woodstock '99 as well.
Yeah.
You know, you got fucking Fred Durst up there telling the audience to go crazy. They're probably going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know if
frightening.
you get that at like a Neil Diamond concert or anything, but maybe.
So what was yours, Gabe?
Well, I went. Mine was at Riverport as well in 1996. I went to the Warp Tour, and which was kind of like it is now. You know, it was a sort of punk bands. And during the last band that played was Fishbone, and you know, it was very modestly attended that day. They didn't open the lawn; it was just the pavilion. So the lawn had tarps over it, right? And you know, they had security guards, you know, making sure no one got on the lawn, etc. So when Fishbone started playing, a bunch of people got on the lawn and they tore up the tarps, right?
Oh wow!
And we thought it might end there, and then it just kind of turned into like a sort of a miniature riot. Like we were walking out, and you know, people were kicking over trash cans, people were throwing things. There was like a skateboard ramp, since obviously Warped Tour is tied to sort of extreme sports. People were tearing that up.
Oh jeez.
So I don't know if it got a lot of press, because I fortunately I hope no one was injured or.
Yeah, I never really heard about it.
But yeah, it was kind of scary for a second. You know, I like saw there's a garbage can like just flew right over my head as I was walking out. I was like, Jesus.
Wow.
So yeah, that was the closest thing I saw to you know, a real I don't know, something really unfortunate happening.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Riverport, my brother, he came home from that GNR show with the bottom of a seat. I think.
I think I remember seeing that in your room. Actually.
Yeah, I don't know where it ever ended up, but
yeah.
But yeah. So both I had two quick incidents and they were both at Alpine Valley, and one on the lawn there, which was Pearl Jam in '98 on the Yield tour, and we were on the lawn for one of the two nights, and in the middle, probably about 20 feet up in the center. And that's a steep lawn there at Alpine. And during Do the Evolution, it was so packed, and it got so it was a wave, like you just had to move with it. Mm-hmm. And I had never been in a crowd like that before, and it's actually kind of common with a lot of festival crowds, but up close to the stage. But when you're on a lawn and you're on an incline like that, and you just had to move with everybody. Yeah. Because you're all standing there, you know, with your arms up to your chest anyway, because it's already cramped, and it's just a figurative sea of people, just moving. I mean, you had a radius of about 10 feet that you're moving back and forth, and just as a wave of people, and so that was intense to be around, and then the other incident actually was PJ20 at Alpine Valley. And somebody, we were down in the front in the seats, and somebody had lit one of those lanterns. You know, the lanterns that you light and they flow up in the air, that the hippies light. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it blew into the sheltered area. You know, the seated area. Right. And I watched it come down on somebody, engulfed in flame. And this was in the middle of a song too, so like nobody was paying any attention to their, you know, looking behind them. And I don't know whatever happened to that person, but it was kind of treacherous to watch. And it's just like people come on. If you're going to light things that become engulfed in flame, check which way the wind's fucking blowing before you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some concert behavior is just inexcusable.
Yeah.
And as I get older, I don't know. Not that I was ever tolerant of it, but I'm less tolerant of it as I get older. Particularly as like in a few years when I want to take my son to shows, etc.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, fortunately, I think at a lot of the shows all of us go to, we don't see that a lot. And I even go to a lot of metal shows, and I don't see that. So it's certainly not. It's not. I don't know. It's not relegated to just one type of music.
No.
Okay, so speaking of concert experiences quickly, we attended a couple. Jonathan last week saw My Morning Jacket at Starlight in Kansas City. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Certainly they're touring behind the Waterfall record still.
Yeah. And this was like the second to last date on that tour, the U.S. dates, and had pretty solid seats about 15th, 18th row, dead center. And but talk about having areas blocked off. They didn't sell any of the back section, so it was probably only about 2/3 sold, if that.
Oh, really?
Maybe half sold. It was surprising when we just cruised.
A little ambitious on the booking, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. I think they really like the venue. They've played there before.
Right.
And they were loud once again, just as loud as they were the last time I saw them. They're the loudest band I've ever heard at an amphitheater. And it was a good show. They did Steam Engine into Only Memories Remain, into Steam Engine, into Phone Went West, and that was pretty awesome. Actually, it was really well executed. And Victory Dance was.
They're not afraid to put arrows in their set list now.
No. Circuitol and Victory Dance were nice. I would have liked to have heard Don Dante. But so it goes. They've got a pretty big arsenal of songs to pick from nowadays, and you're only going to get a couple from each album, except for the most recent album.
Sure.
So yeah, but no, it was a good time.
Good deal. Certainly a band that's firing on all cylinders right now. I caught a show a couple nights ago. Certainly a couple older acts, and it was a fun show. It was Yes and Toto, which I thought it was Toto opening for Yes, but when I look at the length of the set list, it was actually a double bill.
Wow.
Really. I got there a little bit late. I didn't get to see. I was driving up from downstate, Central Illinois. So I got there probably about maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through Toto's set. So I obviously heard their biggest hits near the end. And so I didn't get to hear some of their proggier stuff, which is on their 70s, late 70s, early 80s records before, they had those kind of massive radio songs in the 80s. And then I saw Yes, which, I was a little apprehensive going in because this is really just kind of a skeleton of Yes, I certainly respect the people in the band, I want to preface this too. I got a free ticket so that I wouldn't have gone to this show otherwise. I would go certainly if it was the Yes that I think many of us, the classic lineup of Yes, so to speak. But John Anderson's been out of the band for a while now. First it was for health reasons, and then I guess there was some drama. They didn't want to bring him back. And then Chris Squire, unfortunately, passed away last month. So Alan White and Steve Howe are the only kind of classic members of Yes that are still around. They've got Jeff Downs on keyboards, who played with them a little bit in the 80s. And then they've got this guy named Billy Sherwood on bass, who played with them off and on in the 90s. And then they've got this lead singer, John Davison, who, he's really good at sounding like John Anderson. That's all I can say. He's younger. John Anderson's probably got about 20 years on him.
I didn't know that.
And I found out, this is kind of interesting, the guy that fronts Yes now, John Davison, his best friend from childhood is Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for the Foo Fighters.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And he's the one that paired him with Yes. I guess Hawkins was good friends with Chris Squire, and he's the one that recommended it. He called Chris Squire and was like, "Yeah, you got to check out this guy." And there's a Foo Fighters connection here. Just a little interesting sidebar. But yes, they sounded really good. I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due. If you just strip away all the sort of reluctancy you have about the lineup and just listen to the music, they sounded really great, actually. Steve Howe sounds phenomenal for his age. He's a guy pushing 70, and he sounds great. And I would that's one of my favorite guitarists. I would watch that guy, do just about anything as long as he's on the stage. I'm not totally apprehensive about.
Did he have the guitar on a stand? Did he do that thing?
Yeah, he played like a little bit of slide.
Yeah.
Like a lap slide. And then most of the time he plays that big ES 175. He's got like that Chuck Berry style guitar.
Yeah.
And he still gets just a great sound out of it. He sounded great. He's such a fluid player still. And the set list was kind of predictable.
Sure.
But still good. So I had a good time. It was a good Sunday night by the lake. Nice weather.
Yeah.
Smaller crowd. Certainly didn't fill the venue by any means, but not embarrassingly small. So yeah, it was a good time. If Yes is around and you don't have to make a huge investment to go see it, I recommend it.
All right.
So yeah.
Nice.
All right, everybody, we have got a very special guest tonight, a friend of the podcast, and we're so glad she's here. Susie Ochs, live from, are you in San Francisco or Oakland right now?
I'm in San Francisco right now.
Right
a couple
now.
blocks from AT&T Park.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Susie's joining us from San Francisco tonight, and I've known Susie for quite a while, and she's a big baseball fan. And
We have the same birthday.
And we have the same birthday.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Same year, same
Wow.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Us, Michael Jordan.
We could be
Diamond
twins
Phillips.
separated at birth.
It's
our-
true. We don't
Wow.
know. We don't know.
No one knows.
Lou Diamond Phillips, Rene Russo, Harris Hilton, Susie.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. That's a big one. Yeah. So we're so glad Susie's here. And what we're going to talk about tonight, because Susie grew up in the Midwest, but then has been in the Bay Area now for probably 12 years or so, something like that?
Yes, 12
Right.
years.
Wow.
Quite a while.
Ugh.
So she's going to talk a little bit about transitioning to a new place with a new baseball team. And we're going to talk a little bit about rivalries in sports and music and how people pick sides and what that means. And we'll start off with talking about a recent rivalry. Well, I guess it's been around for a while, but the games just happened recently. The Cubs and the White Sox. Levi is a big Cubs fan. Susie became a Cubs fan in college. And I am, as everyone knows, I'm a White Sox fan. I boast about this a lot. I grew up, Jonathan and I grew up down the street from each other in the middle of a cornfield, essentially, and most people were Cardinals fans where we grew up,
Boo.
which isn't cool. I know, with a kind of a spattering of Cubs fans here and there, and so I was the only Sox fan in town, and then. I didn't really think about the Cubs much growing up. And then when I moved to Chicago, I've been in Chicago now for, I guess, about as long as Susie's been in the Bay Area. I've been in Chicago now for 12 years. And, there's a rivalry, and I think it's an unnecessary rivalry between the Cubs and the White Sox because they don't play in the same division. And I think that this is kind of getting into more sensitive territory. I think there's a lot of kind of maybe some class resentment between the Sox and the Cubs fan base. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of stereotypes about Sox fans that unfortunately White Sox fans reinforce. Like you have a drunk father and son tackle an umpire, tackle an umpire.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
amazing.
That was
That's
class.
us. So
They
the
just
Sox,
threw a beer.
Wasn't there only
a whole
one
beer
shirt
of
between the
There was
two
only
of
one
them
shirt
too?
between
One
the two
shirt,
as well.
two guys,
Yeah.
one shirt.
Yeah, two guys, one shirt,
Yeah.
family thing. Tackling. It was. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't an umpire. It was the Royals' first base coach.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Right. And then over this weekend, I bring this up because there was a beer thrown at Kyle Schwarber this
Oh,
weekend.
really?
Oh,
Cubs
that's
player
rude.
Kyle Schwarber. I know.
Like a can of beer, like
Like a
full,
can of
almost
beer.
Like a full can. It would
Yes.
have hurt.
That's like
Yeah.
$12.
That's a
I
projectile.
know, right? It's
Yeah.
expensive.
It's probably one of those tall boys too.
Oh,
Yeah, not only is it rude, but it's also expensive and it's a waste of alcohol. Like, you know, when I hear the Sox fans, some of them, and this certainly isn't everybody, but it's a lot of them, talk about the Cubs, it kind of makes me cringe, and it brings out those are the times that I'm embarrassed to be a White Sox fan, because there's that kind of South Side chip on your shoulder. You know, screw those kale-eating yuppies up north, you know. And I didn't grow up on the South Side, so I don't have any of that. I grew up away from both fan bases, essentially.
Yeah.
So it was weird to me when I arrived. And a lot of people have stereotypes about Cubs fans that, like,
Oh, absolutely.
watch the game, you know, it's just a giant singles bar.
Yeah, you
and
just
I don't-
drink.
Yeah, and that they're just a bunch of drunks, right? And
Show up late, leave early.
show up late,
Just
leave
hanging out.
right. And I have to admit, I've experienced much more welcoming vibes from the Cubs when I've gone to Wrigley Field than I've ever seen it reciprocated by White Sox fans. You know, everybody's got the stereotypes about the Cubs fans being kind of this sort of frat party, and the Sox fans are kind of those same guys, only with less money, right? So to me, it's an unnecessary rivalry, I guess is the point I'm trying to get at, because, you know, the White Sox fans should be mad at, you know, sorry, Jonathan, the Royals or the Indians or the Tigers or the Twins, right? So I don't like that. And Susie, I wanted to ask you, you live in Oakland now, but you lived in San Francisco for the bulk of your time in the Bay Area when you
Yes.
first moved there. Is it the same thing with the A's and the Giants? Is there a lot of resentment back and forth, or are they just kind of indifferent and say, well, both teams exist in the same general area?
It's not quite as bad as the Sox and the Cubs.
Mhm.
It might just be because we're in different cities and there's some water and whatever, but it is kind of that, like, you know, the Giants are the white collar team and they serve sushi at the ballpark, and the A's, you know, are much more blue collar and the stadium's falling down, and so there's definitely some of those same kind of stereotypes, but they don't seem to like dislike each other quite as much. They do play a couple series, you know, those like fun rivalry interleague series. Like, you know, there's one before the season, there's one during the season, and those are always very popular and they're sold out. And like that seems like everyone kind of gets into it for that, but then the rest of the season they kind of ignore each other.
Yeah.
The A's fans are all very like kind of defeatist, like they know that even if the team's doing well, even, you know, they made the playoffs, they just know it's only a matter of time before they just blow it and crash and burn. So the A's fans have this kind of like Eeyore, like woe is me kind of thing. Like even if we get good players, they're all going to get traded next year, and
Right.
the team doesn't even want to stay in town.
Yeah.
And
Don't buy an expensive A's jersey because that person's
Right.
going to get traded.
right? Yeah, every year when they do like a bobblehead or
Yeah.
you know, a team T-shirt giveaway, everyone's like, "Oh, great, this guy's going to be gone next year." But yeah, it's not quite as bad as it's more like Cubs. It's maybe more like, yeah, I don't think it's as bad as Cubs White Sox.
Yeah.
They ignore each other for most of the year.
Well, it sounds like when they do meet too, it's somewhat it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I don't want to go to the Crosstown Classic. I've only been once, 2003, because I don't think the White Sox fans make it fun.
No,
I mean,
it's
I've
pretty
heard-
heated.
Yeah, and why?
Even more so than any Cubs Cardinal games I've
Yeah.
ever been to.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I've been to some
You'd
Cubs
think
Cardinal
Cardinals
games
would be worse.
that were pretty vicious.
And I mean, this
Where,
is
like at the end of games, you thought Cubs and Cardinal fans were going to get into a fight, but like in Chicago, they will get stabbed.
well, and the Sox fans are directing that same level of vitriol towards the Cubs fans.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it could be class resentment, and that I don't know. That is what it is. I mean, there's rich people that live on both sides of town. There's poor people that live on both sides of town.
Yeah, I know
But-
a lot of people that lived in the south suburbs that were plenty wealthy, and they all were
Right.
Sox fans.
I think that's where a lot of the Sox fan base is. I mean, the South Side itself is becoming really gentrified, you know, and it's Bridgeport is the neighborhood where the White Sox play, and they've got a lot of hip restaurants and bars going. It's like kind of like one of Chicago's next neighborhoods to blow up. So I think some of those kind of class things are kind of eroding a little bit. But, I've heard like ugly things. Like when I went to that game, I heard like homophobic things, said towards Cubs fans. So I really just don't like it because it's not fun. Whereas I think rivalries in sports are healthy, and they should be fun. They should I don't know, retain their sportsman. Yeah. Person like.
I do agree though, and it's kind of sad that it seems like the White Sox biggest rivalry is not even in their league.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's the best case scenario if you go to something like that and you sit next to a fan of the other team and they're really knowledgeable and very deferential and just willing to learn about each other and each other's teams and conceding, hey, you guys are really good at this, you're not so good at this, and we aren't so good at this, but we're good at this.
Right.
And actually, there's a very constructive dialogue that goes on that. That's awesome. That's you wish that would be the default.
Yeah, I'd much rather talk to a friendly, educated Cubs fan than I would many Sox fans.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's unfortunate that I have to say that, but
yeah, and it's fun when you have like an American League team and a National League team because then you can kind of get smack talk about like, oh, your pitcher doesn't bat and like fun stuff like that. But you got to keep it about the baseball. Like smack talking about the baseball is super super fun, but then when you start talking about like the fans and their mothers and all that unnecessary stuff, like that's no good.
Yeah.
So people just don't really know like where to draw a line.
I was at a game and I want to say. It might have been when he was on the Giants, but Brian Giles got heckled horrendously one day when I was in the bleachers at Wrigley Field. I went to school at DeVry, and I would skip school and go to Cubs games.
Me too.
And yeah, it was like nothing was off limits. His grandmother, his pets, like just like whatever. Like people would think of the most ridiculous things to heckle him, and God forbid at one point when he came out in between innings, he put his hands by his nose, and then for like the next half hour it was like Giles is a booger picker, like Giles eats boogers.
Right? It was just keeping it kind of G. I like that.
That's fine. You can yell at the players. Right. Don't talk smack against the other fans.
Well, don't Giants fans and Dodgers fans like stab each other, Susie?
Oh yeah,
doesn't that happen?
The Giants and the Dodgers that's the really mean rivalry.
Okay.
And yeah, you could really get in trouble. I went to a couple of Dodger games. One year the Cubs made the playoffs and they were about to get swept by the Dodgers. So I went down to LA to watch them get swept. And that was really fun because the Dodger fans, we were still sort of like giggling over just the differences between going to a sporting event in the Midwest versus out West. Like the fans just seemed a lot more detached and just not as like sports crazy as I was used to growing up. It just wasn't as serious. It was just, like a thing that they did between yoga classes or whatever.
Everybody's on like a giant cell phone and they have ponytails. And
yeah.
Everybody's throwing screenplays around. Anyway, right.
Totally. So we were at Dodger Stadium and, we knew that the Cubs were going to get swept. So like a lot of people were giving us a hard time, but just in the lamest, most clumsy ways possible. So they're like, hey, Cubs suck. Like that was like the best they could do.
Yes.
But then so we were telling people like, oh yeah, so does your screenplay, and like they thought that was funny, and we ended up making friends that way.
That we can acknowledge. Like
yeah,
a lot of Cubs
but I
fans
guess
can acknowledge that the Cubs suck. Anyway.
But I wouldn't even wear a Giants jersey to Dodger Stadium.
No, I would often go neutral as well. When I was more of a Red Sox fan. When I was exclusively a Red Sox fan going to Royals games here in town, I would wear neutral colors because I wasn't interested in like garnering any attention, even though like you probably wouldn't get much because the Red Sox were a lot better than the Royals. But yeah, just to avoid the attention is more the way to fly.
Right.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about the Royals fans during the series last year.
Yeah, I heard that they were accommodating to a lot of Giants fans. When they were in town.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good deal. Who knows? They might be meeting each other again.
Who knows? God willing, Madison Bumgarner gets like meningitis or something, and that does.
Right.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe he breaks a nail and he can't throw.
He's our whole
the
team.
fastball.
I saw Jonathan. Did you get Jabba Chamberlain?
Yeah, they signed Jabba to a minor league deal.
Oh,
Wow.
They traded away all their minor league pitchers, so they had to start to bring in some.
Right. Nice. What's Mike Hampton up to? But anyway, well, yeah. So obviously there are some unnecessary rivalries out there, and things aren't as fun as they used to be. It seems like, and the conversation can continue through social media and all of those things. Switching to music. While music rivalries certainly aren't as intense as sports rivalries, I don't think so at least, they do exist. I've met people that really like the Rolling Stones, but they can't seem to like the Beatles that much, and vice versa.
I've met people with the same, like the Stones and the Who.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Any of like the
See
other
that.
big British kind of god bands, like they're like, oh well, I'm a Stones person, or I'm
Right.
a
Well, yeah,
Beatles
it's like a
person.
personality question. The Stones or the Beatles. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like both of them. I don't see why people can't.
Yeah, it depends what day it is.
Yeah. When I look at a band, that's just not what I don't compare them to. I'm doing a poor job of articulating this, but I don't think about how they're different than the Rolling Stones when I listen to the Beatles, or how they're different than the Who, or better, or what have you. So we get that with music, and I think we get it a lot with the Grateful Dead and Fish. Now, Susie, you've been to a lot of shows of the Fish.
I just saw my 50th Fish show.
Congrats.
Nice. Congratulations. At Shoreline? Or...
Yes, at Shoreline.
Okay, nice. So, but and Levi, I know your Levi's sister, my cousin, Levi's older sister, Paula, was a big head in the 80s and 90s. So, she's been all over, right, Levi? I mean,
Oh yeah, she basically followed them from 88, 89 to the end.
Right.
And so I got turned on to the Dead at a younger age. I remember one of the first tapes I had was the In the Dark cassette.
Right.
And
nice.
I mean, not to say that I don't like Fish. There's I have a Fish mix in my iTunes. There's probably 10 or maybe 10 songs that I can really say I like a lot.
Be honest, it's just 10 different versions of bouncing around the room.
Yeah, it's all live. It's all live. The one of them is the Halloween show from, I want to say Deer Creek, or it was when they released all those live shows on CD.
Was it when they did Quadrophenia? That was at Rosemont, and
yeah, it may be that one. They do Rock and Roll by Velvet Underground.
Oh yeah, that was
Vegas.
Yeah, right.
The second and third shows, Halloween '98.
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
And so I mean, I like Fish, but if you're gonna make me choose, I'm gonna always probably say the Grateful Dead.
Well, but the thing is, though, you don't have to choose, right? And secondly, your arguments are at least about the music. I feel like some people, older heads...
It's a fan rivalry.
Yeah, it's a fan rivalry.
It's not a band rivalry. It's a fan rivalry.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you don't
the Deadheads are like, get off my lawn, with your stupid glow sticks.
Right.
Yeah. That's my guess, anyway.
If your arguments are about the music, so be it, But when you make it about the fans or the scene or what you think that is, that really bothers me. Because I knew people in college too that kind of were like, oh, I only listen to the Dead, or I only listen to Fish, or I don't know. I guess you kind of had your. I mean, Jonathan, you're closer to Widespread than either of those bands, right? I mean, when you were in the throes of it all.
Yeah.
When we both,
Yeah, I definitely know more about Widespread than either the Dead or Fish, and it's you hang out in the lot a bit, but as far as the scene goes, I've never really been one to be in the scene, and
right.
So
Widespread's kind of like Fish for SEC football fans. You know what I mean?
Well, what's so funny is after Jerry died, that's where my sister and brother-in-law, that's where they went to. They got off the Dead train after Jerry died, and they went to Panic. And I think a lot of older heads did that.
Yeah, right.
And I think a lot of the young Deadheads gravitated towards Fish.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, I guess I interpreted Panic as more of having a rock and roll bent than
Southern rock.
Fish. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So maybe that's why, as a big fan of the Allman Brothers.
Sure.
Well, I could see how Dead fans might, be kind of like, oh, these Fish kids, because it's like Fish was getting big right when the Dead was, crashing and burning. So there's, a little resentment there maybe. And then it's, it would be like if some young band that annoyed us, like all of a sudden started kind of like doing the Fish thing. Mm-hmm. Like if all of a sudden Justin Bieber, who I guess is guitar tech, is really into Fish and took Justin to a Fish show. Anyway, so if Justin Bieber's fans all started like dressing and acting like Fish fans, the Fish fans would be like, what? That's super annoying. And we would probably, dislike those people even more than we might want to anyway.
That begs a really good question, because now John Mayer is supposed to be playing with the Dead, and so are all the little John Mayer, like Taylor Swift looking girls, gonna become Deadheads now?
Yeah.
Is John Mayer cool anymore though? Like, I don't really keep up.
Well, those girls are now the girls that probably got into him when he had his first hits, or what, in their late 20s, early 30s now, if they were teeny boppers then.
Fans.
Shit,
so yeah, I'm sure. It's kind of like when Miley Cyrus has been hanging out with Wayne Coyne and the Flaming Lips, that you get that crossover in fan base.
Right. Yeah. I've said before on this podcast, I don't mind Miley Cyrus. I got to be honest.
That last album was really good.
Yeah, it was. Bangers is good, yo.
It's a good album.
It is.
It's got this sadness to it. You're like, why can't you stop, Miley? What happens if you stop?
Yeah, she's a good Instagram poster too. So
I now know your new shower music, Gabe.
Well, as we've talked about this on the podcast, as you get older, those guilty pleasures don't become so guilty anymore.
Right.
Nothing proves. There's nobody to look cool to now.
Yeah.
Because
someday you'll like Bruce Hornsby.
Well, here's a point that we'll take into account. Right. Someday I'll like him. Like I've always told people I'll really like Phil Collins' solo stuff if I ever go through a divorce. You know what I mean? That's when it'll really resonate with me. When Steph's left me and I'm
Gabe's sitting in a dark room, just I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Exactly. I got like a hot plate because I can't afford anything else. Right?
Just another day in paradise.
That's right. That's when I'll really appreciate Phil Collins. But gosh, there are some other ones that I want to touch on that are, I don't know, they're probably not as pronounced as the Dead versus Fish or the Beatles versus the Stones or any of the sports rivalries. Obviously, I grew up, like, Van Halen was my introduction to popular music, basically. All my cousins were into him. All my cousins were, right? Kids, and they liked Roth, and then they all made the transition to Hagar without really much of a bump. They're like, oh, cool, this guy's all right too. And I'm not like patting myself on the back here, but even at like, I guess that would have happened when I was 6. I think he left in 85.
You're saying you could see through the bullshit.
I could.
6.
Listen, I wasn't a savant, I wasn't. I haven't passed the bar or anything, but
Mensa is calling.
I knew that was bullshit right away. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is Van Halen now."
Right?
They've gone from just totally like David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth is. This is going to sound crass, but he's Groucho Marx hosting a wet T-shirt contest. That is David Lee, right?
Oh, yeah. On speed.
Right, and Sammy Hagar is
Guy Fieri.
Yeah, he's Guy Fieri. That's who he is.
I've never seen them in the same place at the same time, so just saying, right, the same person.
And I guess I don't hate Hagar. I hate what he did to Van Halen.
Right.
Because I don't mind the Montrose albums. I had the VOA, the I Can't Drive 55s.
And 3-lock box.
Man. I had that 3-lock Standing Hampton. Yes, right.
Oh, yeah, no.
So he seems like a good time. I just don't like his effect on Van Halen.
Yeah, it was like two things that you would think totally would work together.
Right.
But in my mind, they didn't. Like, I can go back and I can maybe pull 2 or 3 songs and listen to them. One being Black and Blue off OU 812. I think that's a really well-produced song. But
it's got a couple.
Yeah, it was just like the songs went from like getting drunk, getting laid, like partying to like my girlfriend left me, what's wrong with the
To
world,
caring
like
about the other
yeah,
person's feelings.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it went to. So, yeah, so it was just totally different. It was like the lyrical content changed completely, and it didn't give me what I was looking for in Van Halen.
Well, you were only
still
6
young,
at the
you
time,
wanted
so
to
you were
rock.
still
Only
still
6.
ready to rock.
Right, I was.
You weren't ready
You didn't
to
give a
settle
shit
down.
about the other people's
That's
feelings.
when I was like, thank God Cinderella is
Yeah.
around. All right.
All your cousins were maturing and being like, "Hey, this kind of makes sense. Maybe we should, be
They're like,
more
man,
in
maybe
tune with
Sammy-
their feelings."
Maybe
By
Sammy's
the time we were 8,
guys.
Bon Jovi came out and just like cleared the whole landscape.
He did, yeah. That was that's what everybody followed after that. But yeah, my cousins were like, maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe Sammy is right. I need to
I'll
start
settle
going to
down
bed
with my
early.
own little Valerie Bertinelli, and we'll have a kid. And...
Settling down, going to bed early.
Yeah, you got a haircut and everything.
Making sure my 401k is in good shape. All that.
Check Credit Karma, maybe.
Right.
So
exactly.
gone Hagar should be like a verb for a transition in life.
I think so. Yes.
A maturing in life.
Yeah, it's when you abandon your juvenile spirit in favor of I don't
He's
know.
gone Hagar.
Yeah, in favor of I don't know, maturity, I guess. But anyway,
But then they went back. It's the great redemption
then they
story.
went back, right? 'Cause
Midlife crisis.
Absolutely.
That's what that is.
Good stuff, gang. And then don't even get me started on Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel. All right, so
Yeah.
yeah. Are there any others? Am I missing any here of like divisive artists like that are like, well, you got to like one or the other? Like where a lot of people in the camp think that way.
Did like
Janet and Mariah?
yeah.
What's that? Who did you say?
Janet Jackson and Mariah Carey?
Oh, okay.
Or
Or
Whitney?
Janet-
Maybe Janet and Whitney?
All right.
I don't know. That was a
Didn't
while
like
ago.
didn't Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses like hate each other?
They did. Yeah, I don't know if like the fans ever sort of split. I don't know if like it permeated to the fan base.
Yeah.
But I know there's some great footage. And Jonathan, if you find this, post it as well.
Okay.
It's got Vince Neil challenging Axl to a fight
Oh, I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
that.
on an MTV interview.
He may even have like Michael Jackson sparkle gloves on while he's doing it.
I know. Who will you guys take? Let's go around the room. Vince or Axl in their prime?
In a fight,
Talking like a 1988 version of either.
Axl.
I gotta go Axel, dude. He's got
No
the
way,
calves in those
I
jean
think Vince
shorts.
is a scrapper, man. I do.
But
I do.
Axl's dirty, man. Axl do something dirty.
Axel's from Indiana. He'll shove
Or
a corn
I
cob.
think in a fair fight, Vince would win, but I just don't think Axel would fight fair.
Right, exactly. And that's,
All right.
yeah.
So
yeah.
Axl would
It's-
pull like a Mr.
there's a
Miyagi,
folding chair involved
like,
in
yeah,
Axl's guy.
a flower
A microphone
eyes
to the
or
head.
something. Yeah, right. He wouldn't be afraid to play dirty, that's for sure.
No.
But yeah, in a legitimate fight, I'll take Vince. I think he's a scrapper. Yeah. So
Blues
anyway,
Traveler and Black Crows is one that comes to mind.
a little bit. I mean, I think among us.
I don't think.
know if it
Yeah,
counts.
I don't think the like fans necessarily hate each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
Right.
Like the two bands, absolutely.
Yeah,
hate
PJ Nirvana, that's similar to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Get some of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I crank Nirvana, I think of all of the Nirvana fans that would be annoyed as I crank it, surrounded by all these Pearl Jam tour posters.
I think Nirvana, among critics, garnered more acclaim, and that
Oh,
maybe
for sure.
fuels some of
Yeah.
it. You know.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, that was fun to talk about rivalries. And now we'll get to the portion of the evening, our bullpen session, where we recommend albums that we've been digging lately. So we'll hand it over to Susie, our special guest, and she's going to tell us what has been pumping through her speakers lately. Susie?
I have been pretty stuck on the new Galactic album. It just came out last month, and it's called Into the Deep. It's really, really good. So Galactic, is the New Orleans kind of funk band, and they got horns, and they're really dancey, and it's just the happiest, greatest music without being like, cavity happy. So Into the Deep is a good album. It's got a lot of guests. Like usually Galactic's mostly instrumental.
Yeah.
And on this album, there's singing on every track, but it's different people. So JJ Gray sings one song, Macy Gray sings another one. The one you really, really want to hear is Mavis Staples doing a track called Does It Really Make a Difference? I won't spoil it for you. You'll have to find out if it really makes a difference.
You'll just say it does.
Yeah, Mavis will explain it all. So, yeah, check that out. It's really, really good. I just can't stop listening to it. I've been playing it over and over.
Nice. They were at Bonnaroo that first year that me and Gabe went in 2002. And I actually got to meet Kevin, the saxophone player.
Nice.
And they're one of those bands that, like, I listened to them kind of in my days of, like, Moe and Umphreys and Galactic and Disco Biscuits and all that. And, like, I actually found when we were getting ready to move out to Colorado, I found the Galactic live CD, and there's a version of Baker's Dozen on there that's just awesome. It's one of my favorite jazz funk songs. Nice. So yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, they're really good. I kind of forget about them, and then I get into these Galactic periods where it's just all I want to hear.
Always fun to dust things off and then rediscover those bands. So, Jonathan, what about you? What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to something that's been a staple in my record or CD/record collection since I found it at the Ames, Iowa Public Library on sale for $1 back in like 2002, and it is Fu Manchu's The Action Is Go.
Nice.
Fu Manchu is some pretty fantastic hard stoner rock. And
Tony Alva on the album cover.
Yeah, the album cover. Nice. And I mean that. Oh, actually, I gotta show you the because this makes for good radio. Because I scored the vinyl, and
nice
because they came through Kansas City playing this album in its entirety, which was like a pinnacle in my 30-something adulthood, and one red vinyl and one blue vinyl. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Just thought you were gonna say like an actual lock of Tony Alva's hair.
No. And
Dogtown represent.
So yeah, Fu Manchu is a fantastic band, really consistent band from Orange County, and it's it's such productive music for me. If I just need to focus with some hard rock and roll, it's Fu Manchu, man.
Nice.
They've always got such a good aesthetic. They've always got like really cool vans and stuff on their album cover.
Yeah. They're big in that kind of 70s aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They even write songs about vans.
Yeah. King of the Road. And most of the songs on The Action Is Go are about skateboarding.
Right. They just what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I'm a total garage sale guy, and we just moved here, and we were going to the park, and I saw a garage sale, so I was like, I have to go. And the wife and kid are like, whatever. And it was next door neighbor had two of the vans from the 70s with like the little round windows and like the graphics on the side and stuff. I was just like drooling, like, oh, those are so cool. And I get in the car and my wife's like, those are rape vans.
Gross. Man, that takes the fun out of it. Jeez.
We look at vans a little different than you.
Lighten up. Jeez. Oh, man.
So yeah, speaking of rape vans, my pick it could be blasted out of one of those vintage vans. It's by a band called The Sword, who are kind of a throwback stoner rock metal band. And the song that I heard is off their new album, which actually drops Friday, and it's called High Country. And it's typical stoner kind of rock sound metal, and but supposedly on this album they kind of branch out. There's like a Texas boogie tune, because I guess
they're from Austin.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to pick up the like ZZ Top link, and so it's supposed to be an album where they kind of branch out and do more than just stoner metal.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to it. And the deluxe edition, which costs $99.99, comes with a wooden stash box with their name engraved on the top.
Shut up, that's amazing.
A dugout with the band logo, this card for your wallet that looks like a cheese grater, but I guess it's for grinding weed.
Jeez.
And then a pack of Foley papers, and then the album on CD, and then colored vinyls.
I know their
Wow.
audience.
Yeah,
Wow.
Stoner rock.
Right.
No, they ain't messing around.
Jesus. It's like the Tommy Chong limited edition or something.
Right?
Jesus. Nice. Well, good deal. My recommendation, I've been more, I don't know, I guess people who listen to the podcast will know. I listen to RDO for a lot of my new music and my daily listening. Susie's on RDO, Jonathan's on RDO. And I listen to it at work because I'm at a desk most of the day. And there is I listen to a lot of more kind of chill wave, kind of electronic stuff, kind of ambient sort of stuff. And I came across this band. They're musicians in the band. It's not just like a guy on a MacBook and a guy on a turntable or something. It's they're called Vessels, and they're from England, and they're kind of described as sort of post-rock, but which is could be kind of a wankerish term, but
Yeah.
it's this new album of theirs is called Dilate, and it's a lot more electronic than their previous work, but there's still, the instruments are still there, and it's like Jonathan had mentioned with Fu Manchu, for him at least, it's really good stuff to get things done, but also you could put it on at night and kind of mellow out to it as well. So it's really good. The album's called Dilate. It's by this band called Vessels. So check them out.
Nice.
I'm trying not to make all my recommendations about like music you could music to send to emails to.
That is a good mix that you have there. That I do listen to that mix of yours.
Because if you look on me at RDO, it's not really that indicative of what I listen to, like what I would consider like my favorite music.
Right.
It's just I listen to most of it while I'm at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you see me listening to like Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, that's like after my wife and son have gone to bed, right?
like that's when the Too Short comes on, right?
Right, exactly. But then that if I'm listening to Vessels or something like that, something with that people on MacBooks make, I'm probably at work. So anyway,
I'm not a fan of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, but I know the word to every song.
Right. Exactly.
It puts you in a certain state of mind, I bet.
He's a collaborator on the next Interpol album, actually, Daniel Tiger. But anyway, one thing I want to share before we sign off is Susie has an interesting. What's that? Yeah, she's got a beef.
We got a beef,
and she's gonna take it out. And this isn't like a beef with
not with any of you. You guys
right?
are
None of
cool.
us do.
Whoa.
That would be interesting.
Even a small time.
Have you guys have they heard this story at all?
They haven't heard it yet.
Oh,
no.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
So why don't you tell it? Because I think you're a little. I heard it from my wife, and then you might have heard it from the wedding party. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get it started here. So there's this rapper out in Brooklyn, and he's married to Beyonce, and I've got a big problem with him. And I'm here to officially start my internet feud with Jay-Z.
Fortunately for you, he listens to this podcast.
Yes. Right, Hove. Let me tell you why you suck. No, actually, he's fine. I don't really care for his music that much unless Danger Mouse has put decent tracks underneath it. But so the problem is, all right, Gabe and I were both invited to a wedding. So that's nice. People are in love. They're going to get married. They're going to do this in Brooklyn. They have a venue picked out. It's called the Liberty Warehouse. If you go to their website, they actually say, like, Jay-Z's throwing parties here. That's why we're cool. Like, Brooklyn, Jay-Z, yay. Yeah. So they had it all scheduled and, deposits, and they had sent save the dates, and they were about to send invites when they got a call from the venue saying, okay, there's a big celebrity who actually wants to reserve our venue on the day of your wedding. And would you mind moving your wedding so we can accommodate this big celebrity?
Wow.
Because he wants to throw a birthday party, a 90th birthday party for his grandmother. which is super sweet. I totally support that. But it's her birthday. It's her 90th birthday. Like, you knew this was coming for at least 89 years.
I would say he's got the run of venues.
Plan ahead.
You could have it a day later.
Yes.
So the guy could rent out the fucking Coliseum.
Yeah, okay, so I guess...
All right.
So officially, we don't even know. Like, the venue was very discreet and just called them like Celebrity X or some bullcrap. But he threw an 85th birthday party for his grandmother at the same place 5 years ago. So yes, we know. I also found an article that Beyonce had thrown a birthday party a couple years ago for the same grandmother, but they did it on a yacht. So just get a boat, go out to international waters where they had the Mike Tyson Secretariat fight. You can do whatever you want. It'll be great. But no, they bumped my friend's wedding.
What were
here's the thing. So the thing is, they knew that it's reserved. You're Jay-Z, but you can't just like cancel someone's wedding. So what's happening is they're paying for it.
Who, Jay-Z or the venue?
Well, the venue, like Jay-Z is paying for it through the venue.
Celebrity X is paying for it.
So in exchange for moving their wedding about 6 weeks, I guess, into the
did
future.
They double the cost of the wedding? That's what I would have done. I'd been
right?
Here's
what I really want to do. I want to go to the birthday party.
That's the deal.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Because so my son is the same age as Jay-Z's daughter, and they could meet and fall in love, and like this is fate. So they moved the wedding, and in exchange, the entire wedding is being paid for, so free wedding, and then they're also going to take care of people's if they had booked travel and they needed to change travel.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, but even if our friends had to cover the travel themselves, they would still come out way ahead because free wedding. But, also quite rude.
At that wedding,
I'm actually going out anyway. So I had planned to go out because a cousin was getting married in New Jersey the weekend before. So I'm like, hey, consecutive wedding weekends on the East Coast. Why don't I fly my whole family out there and we'll just hang around on the East Coast for like 10 days so we can go to both of these weddings. So I couldn't just cancel the trip. Like, I'm still going. So I will actually be in Brooklyn on the evening of Jay-Z's grandmother's 90th birthday party. So Jay, if you want to make it up to me, I think you should just invite me to the birthday party.
I think you show up in like what you would wear to a wedding and just play dumb and be like, oh no, and just
bring the same I'll just be like, I saved
this
the
isn't
date.
the Anderson wedding.
They'll take pity on you and invite you in.
Right. Yeah, they should. It's the least they could do.
If he's paying for that wedding, there better be like a statue of David peeing Crystal at that wedding. All right.
Yeah, it should be like the Kanye wedding.
That
like
was
part
what we
2.
had planned, right? That's what I would have told them.
Right. Yeah.
They had to carve
We made a
whole
list.
new...
All right. We want David Hasselhoff there. All right. I don't know why I thought.
So I guess it's a good story, but it's still like a totally absurd.
It fits well into our East Coast West Coast feud thing. Right?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's why West Coast rappers are better, because they've never canceled any of my friends' weddings.
I would agree with that, regardless of weddings too. I'll take Too Short over Jay-Z any day of the week. It's just all there is to it.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway, well, in the words of Too Short, don't fight the feeling, kids. So anyway, Susie, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah. We loved having you. And, is it okay? Can I give them your Twitter handle, Susie? Or can you tell it to us? Is that okay?
Yeah.
What is your...
So it's SF, like San Francisco, and then SOOZ, like Suze.
Right.
Or
So
Suze spelled backwards.
SF Suze. F-Foods.
Yeah.
So you can follow Susie there, pick up issues of Macworld, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You can do that as well. And you can follow us, our podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at RockNChew. That's in as in no son of mine. Sorry. Every week we've got this thing where every week I say a different thing that starts with an N, and the Phil Collins thing just came to me. Anyway, so that's at RockNChew. And also you can find all of our archived episodes as well as, a lot of fun stuff on our website, blog posts, things of that nature at rockchew.com. So, and like us on Facebook, tell all of your friends. We'll be back again real soon. So thanks so much, everybody, and thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
And
thanks.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Peace.